Hello guys, welcome back. Today I want to talk about the Chicago Blackhawks, and since they're missing the playoffs for the first time in 10 years, I want to talk about what they should do next going into the next season. Now they're 35-9 now after losing against Colorado last night. They're officially out of playoff contention, and of course 4 straight losses. That wasn't going to help their chances at all, but if you do remember just a few months ago, I think it was in the late November or December, they were in a wildcard spot. They were in the playoffs, and really after that point, at the start of the new year, they started to decline a little bit, and then they started to just completely nosedive. And a lot of teams, of course, you can't really do that in Central Division. Teams are going to catch up on you, and they did. Colorado, I think, got a lot better. Minnesota got a lot better, and there's a lot of teams that got a lot better after Chicago's downfall, and of course, those teams are now taking advantage. And of course, before this season, they had 10 straight seasons of playoffs, and that's a big thing for them. I think it was the longest streak in the NHL, and of course, breaking this season. There's a lot of things to go towards that. As we look back to those 10 years, they got 3 cups. It was going to be, after those 10 years, it was not quite the Detroit level of that long playoff streak, but if you're going to have 10 years of playoffs, you're going to have to draft stupendously well. And they were drafting decent, but not fantastic, and that's the big thing for them. Their depth was not bad. It was not bad, but it was not good at all. It wasn't what it needed to be for the Blackhawks to get into the playoffs this season. That's a big thing for them. They're relying too much on their stars. Their stars, Taves, top 100 player, wasn't playing all that well, and it was a lot of things to blame here. Crawford was injured as well, but it's just a conglomeration of things that the Blackhawks started to decline. Of course, having no depth at all really didn't help them at all. And really, if they wanted to continue playoffs, like the Detroit Red Wings, they're going to have to draft fantastic. And while they didn't draft terribly, they didn't draft fantastic. So they had depth issues. They still had good players, but those players didn't really come to play. And of course, not having depth whatsoever hurt them, and not drafting guys that they needed to has hurt them as well. Now they have struck on a couple of great players and stolen a couple of great players in the draft, but they haven't gotten consistently great drafting, and that's what you really need to do to keep this kind of consistent run. And of course, since it hasn't happened like that, it was bound to happen that the Blackhawks were going to fall down and miss the playoffs in the first time in a while. Now, I didn't expect them to do it this season. I expected them to get into the playoffs this season. I thought it was going to be the next year after that was going to be the downfall for the Blackhawks. But I didn't expect it this soon, but the Blackhawks did come this season, and I didn't expect that if I was going to be next season. I didn't see this coming, and I don't think a lot of people did. And really, the Blackhawks kind of set in stone. They weren't playing that great at all. They still weren't even playing that great in the wild card. And they had a lot of teams behind them that weren't playing good at all. They were just kind of lucky to be in that wild card in the first place, and I just didn't expect them to fall down this quick. And they had some tough injuries. They had their star players out for a few times throughout the season. Crawford especially was just gone throughout the whole season. He looks to not even be returning, and that's a big thing for them. Crawford has been the backbone of that entire core really for a long, long time, and for him, he was having a great season until he got injured, and really after that, I think that was the point where the Blackhawks kind of just completely came to a halt and completely stopped playing good. It also doesn't help that guys like Seabrook, Keefe, some of the core guys that they were hoping were going to be great haven't played as great as they should be, and of course those contracts are gigantic, so we really don't have any idea what they're going to do with that. If they can somehow get rid of that, if they can keep it and make it work, we really have no idea. Okay, so we know that it's a disastrous season for them. Now, what can they going into the next offseason? Alright, so we know this is a disastrous season for them. What can they go and do going into the draft and the offseason? And I don't think it's too much in the roster, because really they're strapped in cash. You got Seabrook, you got the Keefe, you got the Tate, you got the Kane, you got so many contracts that are huge that we really can't do much with. And I don't know if anybody's going to take that Seabrook contract. I don't think anybody will take that Seabrook contract, especially since he was scratched a few times. He was playing just abysmal for what he's used to and expected to be this season. I don't think anybody's taking that. And they're just really cap strapped, and I don't think they can do too much of adjusting towards the actual core and to actually getting good players in the offseason. I don't think they can really do much free agency. There's only really one answer, and that's developing players for the roster at least. I think that developing players is going to be probably the most important thing, the same kind of thing that they're doing with DeBrincat. So what can they do? They can't do too much with the roster, so I think they're going to push towards the managerial positions. Now, we're going to talk about the general manager later, but towards the coaching options there. Now, if they get rid of Joel Quenneville, I think it'll be a disaster for them. I don't think that's going to help at all. If anything, I think it's going to make it worse for them. If Joel Quenneville has been here for the 10 playoff appearances, the 3 cups, everything that they've been doing recently, it's almost because of him, and he's led them to all of that. Getting rid of Joel Quenneville is, I think, a terrible idea for them, and I think that they would just be a terrible decision to get rid of him in the first place. They might might want to change a couple of assistants, but to get rid of Quenneville, I think would be a disaster. Now, if I think that if they want to make a change, they'll go after more of the general manager positions. Now, going after Stan Bowman and firing him, is that a good idea? And that's the tough thing there, because he has been good for a long amount of time. Of course, taking over the Blackhawks and getting those cups is a big thing for him, but he hasn't really been amazing lately. He's had some good trades and some bad trades, and he's had mixed results, really, throughout his career in the last couple of years. So he's been a mixed bag lately, and I could see why they would go after him and try and get a new general manager. Now, I still think that he's a good general manager, and I don't know if it'll be a good idea to fire him, but if maybe they want to change something up, I really have no idea at that point. Maybe they want to change something in the general manager position, but I really think that he can't really do anything. I don't think that the general manager that comes in can't really do much anyways, so I don't think that it's Stan Bowman's fault. It's just that he hasn't, he really hasn't drafted the best players lately, and he really has made some key kind of small decisions that have kind of backfired in his position. And when you're having that kind of team that has 5 core players and you're strapped for cash, a couple of small moves that hurts you can really go a long way. And Stan Bowman hasn't been bad at the kind of the system that he's trying to go for, but he hasn't been great either. There might be a better general manager that's able to accomplish that in the NHL right now, or one that's even out of a job right now. And I think that they could probably get a better general manager than Stan Bowman. I mean, he hasn't made great moves, but he's made some bad ones, and I think that just the small key ones that he made has been bad for the team in general, and really they're in a tough spot. I don't know what they could really do with that general manager position, but they could probably get somebody better than Stan Bowman, who's trying to work it out, but really just can't right now. And of course, you could always just do nothing and stay with a system that has gotten you really 3 cups and 10 straight playoff appearances, which isn't, I guess, a bad system at all. Keep that, and then, try and get better luck next year, and who knows, maybe they just go on another playoff run next season. Maybe they make the playoffs next season. I mean, anything could really change. As far as we know, the Blackhawks can have this terrible season and then go right back up to winning the division. They're the Blackhawks. They can really defy all logic. They can always stand pat, keep the system going, and go towards next season. I mean, you never know. This will be the last couple of seasons where Crawford is going to be great. The last couple of seasons where Keith is going to be NHL player caliber. Those last couple of seasons where Seabrook is going to become complete trash. And they got this small window now, and it's going to be smaller and smaller as the years come by. These are the last couple of seasons where I think they can contend, and who knows, maybe they go back next year and play out of their minds. Not the Chicago Blackhawks who got swept by the National Predators, but the Chicago Blackhawks who make deep playoff runs. I don't think it's going to be too realistic, but they could certainly get back in the playoffs. I mean, the Blackhawks, once again, could do anything that they really want to. It's all about small moves that they can make and making them and making good moves and being able to contend back until next year. And a big thing for me is that I don't think there's too many problems with the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't think that there's anything that they could really do about it, but it's just a system of making the playoffs for this sustained amount of time. It's just going to happen where the Blackhawks are going to take a step down and miss the playoffs, and really, they can come back next season. It's going to be a long shot, but they could possibly do it if they make the right moves here. Remember, never doubt NHL GM's abilities to help Chicago Blackhawks, especially in the offseason. But that's going to, guys. Like, subscribe, and not ring that bell. And tell me down below what you think of the Chicago Blackhawks situation. Should they fire Joe Quenneville? Should they fire Stan Bowman? Should they just stay pat and go till next year? I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.